Okay, so earlier in signals and solvers, I mentioned, that a solver was something that did something. It could be a function, it could be a flow, it could be a SQL query, it could be anything. It's a thing that happens that produces a value, right? And I said flows. Well, yes, we have flows. And by flows, I mean visual functions like flow-based programming, like J. Paul Morrison, invented, quote unquote, in the '70s. It's been around for a long time. Let's look at some flows. Let's look up a silly one here. This is a random. Wow, this is an AP. It's an API that gives a random Owen Wilson wow from one of his movies, and so it's a bunch of nodes and boxes like you would expect from a flow. And let me just play it real quick. And they'll all populate. Cool. So it hit this endpoint. It used an HTTP call box. As you can see, here's the output it got in regular JSON converted to EDN. I also have it in beautiful boxes, boxes that can be dragged out and used as a get in. Here's all the keys that came out of it, which I can drag out into individual things. And here's what the character name was, and the name of the movie. And here we even have an image, and just getting get in result poster. And my system sees that it's a render view. It sees that it's a image, so it can show it to you. Just that seems like a nice thing to do, right? This one's an MP4 of the wow. Wow. So there you go, and it's an MP4, so you might as well show it. And again, a silly example, but this is kind of how this is a visual function. And we can see how it executed. We can see what was slow, what was fast. It's a visual function. I mean, you could write this in a script too and spit out these things. That's cool, but what's also great about flows and visual functions is that every single piece of this is a value. So if I were to go back to here, I had this cool thing called run streams. Because flows, like this is super cool, and you could run this in the back end, and then you could pick up one of these values and think of like an ETL job, right? Runs in the background, does some stuff, you pick it up later, it's cool. But this is kind of like, big and wieldy, and you don't want your users to be using this. Like this is for you and the power users building the flows. You want people to just use them, right? So if I go here, I have this thing called run streams. So let me search for the wow flow. I'm going to add it. So now you can see I have it as part of my thing. You can see I'm subscribed to it now. It shows me the inputs. The inputs for this one don't do anything except for the URL, which I don't know the other URL. So, and it shows me the outputs. I can run it and, get new outputs. I can also drag out this play button. Maybe this does something, on my dashboard that I want to control without using this UI. Well, then I'll just drag it out and use this. And if I look at this, the play button for the flow is just another shortcode, right? It's like writing the system in the system. Is a super, super powerful paradigm. Anyway, so as you can see, we have the inputs and we have the outputs. And what's great about that is I can just drag these bad boys out here because they're just values. And see, this one says renderable view. This is because when I built it in Unpack Results Poster, it's generating, hiccup and like shortcodes. And I call it Clover. It's like a very, very light DSL on top of a whole bunch of different visual closure script things. I can say I can drag this guy out here. And that's the poster for hall pass, apparently. And, whatever. I'm pretty sure you get the drift here. But, now we have this simple flow that's delivering values to places, right? Not value, but values. And now when I run it, they change. And that's actually kind of great because there's so much you can do with this, right? Like this, like I said, flow, a random flow, full wow line. Like this is just a keyword that is a key path to a thing that happens on the server that you can then subscribe to by putting it in your dashboard, right? And it could be anything. You could have filter parameters that cascade across the servers, different clients. I mean, all kinds of stuff. You know, the world is not limited to Owen Wilson shenanigans. But yeah, flows are pretty badass. And as someone who grew up, you know, using ETL and like building pipelines, like I really like this type of building. It is very clunky, right? And if you look at some of the more complex ones, like if I go to you know, this open AI image generation, you'll be like, holy shit, what is happening here? But hey, it's taking a base 64 and it's making an image and it's doing all kinds of stuff. And then on top of that, oh, where is it? I scrolled it away. Oh, I just tabbed through it. Damn, I totally scrolled it off the view. I wonder if I open this guy. Oh, Jesus. All right, so we're way off the map here. There it is. Holy crap. This is actually the flow that gets the colors from the image. But I was saying before that awful, I got lost in the flow here, is that, you know, as being a visual function, what's cool about it, even though it's kind of clumsy, is that, you know, you can at any point inspect. Let me run it to get some values inside it. There you go. So I'm here, right? I can see what my input was and what my output was at every step, and especially if like things are messing up. I can see what this is, what's going on here. I can see what all my inputs were, like, you know, these inspect these input ports, and you can see the highlights when I hover over them. Just trying to give as much context to the user as possible. So yeah, it's a dashboard tool with its own whole flow system that's built into the very, you know, fabric of it. And this can do some cool stuff. Like I can do conditional pathways, right? Like this is a conditional thing that sees if it's a number, if it's done, where's the actual condition? I'll display it. Because this has connections. Oh, it's right here. Oh my goodness, I'm so blind. It's this dark color scheme. Okay. You know, if I play it, it'll loop around, it'll go through, and you can see the conditions light up as they're true and false. And again, all values, right? We're just pushing values here. Counting loop, I could go over here and say, I mean, I should totally do this video over again because all the screw ups, but I'm not going to, because I'll have a new version in like a few weeks and I'll probably have to make a video for that. So here we have, you know, the outputs of counting loop, right? So where's final value is 33. We'll drag it over here. It's 33. And then we're not in the flow. We're not in that cool animated thing anymore. We're just out here. We're just out here with the rabbits and Owen Wilson. And if I play it, we're subscribing to the server, and it should... oh shit, I should have subscribed to this one, because that's the final value, which is not going to iterate, but this one will. Or will it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's just changing values in the server that are being pushed to my client every time they change, and since it's, you know, I'm right on the server, there's no problem with the latency there. But anyways, just kind of an example of how stuff like this can really do a whole lot of stuff in your dashboards across all kinds of different things. And then, oh yeah, going back to the signal and the solver, going back to that, yeah, here we go. So I can, as a solver, call on a flow, right? I'm saying call this flow, call the color flow, and then override the default values with these values, which, lo and behold, are the values of other solvers, right? So when wallpaper of the moment changes, it changes this value, which triggers this flow, and then that flow changes the value, which triggers the background, and which changes the things, and you know, it's dominoes, but in like a really cool way. Anyways, this went on way too long, and I had way too many screw ups, but anyways, on to the next one.